and good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us today for another segment of Equal Hope right here on CAN TV. I'm so happy you could join us. I did get the memo. Today is Christmas Eve, and we don't want to disappoint. We're staying in a festive spirit. My name is Dana Wint. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist at Equal Hope. Equal Hope is a nonprofit organization right here in Chicago, and they are here to assist you with a free mammogram, a free cervical screening, or a free primary care appointment. And we're looking for the underinsured, the uninsured, or maybe just your unsure. If you have any of the following those categories, give us a call, 312-942-3368. I believe maybe an appointment with for a mammogram may be the best Christmas present you give somebody this year. So do write that number down, 312-942-3368. We're about saving lives, and that's what we do at Equal Hope. We help women live because early detection saves lives. Period. Bada bing, bada boom. Every year we have more and more. They're getting younger and younger, especially our African American sisters being diagnosed with breast cancer. Yes. It was 1 in 8, but we need to do more work. I love October. It's a great month for breast cancer awareness, but for some people, every day is October. And today we are talking about really surviving, and 2025 is coming around the corner. We talked about breast cancer most of the year and definitely in October, but here we go, going into the new year. And this year we're going to take care of ourselves with our primary care appointments, with those annual appointments that you need to stay alive, because every year you need to do some appointments, and your mammogram is one of those appointments. My guest today is an entrepreneur. She's an insurance agent, she's a singer, a vocalist, and she's a breast cancer survivor. And that's what we're talking about, breast cancer and survivorship. Ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful young lady to my right and your left is Miss Debra Ray. Hey, Debra Ray.
Hey, Dana Divine.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in today. I know it's Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And we got the memo. And you could be doing a lot of other things besides saving lives, but that's what we're going to do right now.
Okay.
So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Debra.
Okay. Thank you for having me. My name is Debra Ray, and I've had breast cancer twice in my life, and it was very devastating. Actually, it's very prevalent in my families, not just my mom's side, but my dad's side as well. Actually, I was about 30, in my early 30s when I was detected with cancer, and I had lost my oldest sister to cancer. On my father's side, I've lost about 8 family members of breast cancer and colon cancer, and on my mom's side, I've lost about 12, with breast cancer. So it's very prevalent.
With breast cancer.
Yes, it's very prevalent on both sides of my family. And before I found out, I started having mammograms in my 20s. Because it was so prevalent in my family that they thought it would be good for me to start having mammograms. So I took my mammograms all the way up until in my 30s when they found it. So I had gone for years having mammograms in my 20s and not being detected. And then I actually stopped a few years, and then I think a couple of years later when I started back going, it was detected. So, but I thank God it was detected early. And so I don't know if you want me to move on with telling what happened.
Go right ahead, huh?
Okay, so
tell them.
What happened. I actually had my right breast removed because my mom was a nurse, and she felt like, since it was so prevalent in our families, that maybe at my young age I should go ahead and have my breast removed. So they removed my right breast. Very traumatic thing. But the great thing is I had it rebuilt while I was asleep. So I did not have to go back to have that surgery. So when I went under, I had a breast. When I came back, I still had a breast. And what they actually did was, I didn't get the silicone or anything like that. They actually moved the fat from my body up into my breast.
So you got a little body work.
I did. And so I actually didn't have enough fat on my body for the size breast I had. But it turned out okay, and so that was in, I think, the year of early 2003 when I had breast cancer the first time.
So that was on what side?
Right.
Right side.
On my right side. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the funny thing is, when I had that done, they offered me to have the left breast done at the same time, and I didn't. I didn't see the vision, So I waited, and then in 2011 it happened again, and then I was like, oh my God, I should have had both breasts removed at the same time.
Well, in 2011, 8 years later, you said?
Yes.
Was it in the same breast?
No, the left breast.
Ah.
Yeah, the left breast. And that's why I was saying I should have had both breasts removed. Because it's so prevalent in my family, and I didn't. I didn't see the vision. Mm-hmm. So I ended up, but the thing is, the left breast, I didn't have it removed. It was a lumpectomy. Mm-hmm. And I just trusted in God that lumpectomy was going to work. And it did. Mm-hmm. And so I've been cancer-free since 2011. I get my mammograms every year. I was getting them every 6 months.
Starting at what age?
After 2003, I'm sorry. I was having them after I got my right breast removed and rebuilt, I started having them every 6 months, and they didn't detect anything. And it seemed like as soon as I stopped, it happened again. But since I've had the lumpectomy, I get a mammogram like every year, every October. And last year, they thought they detected it again. And I don't know if you saw me on Facebook when I talked about it. And I said, let me pray about this, and I'll be back in 6 months. And I went back in 6 months, and I prayed about it. And when I went back in 6 months, they did it again, and they didn't see anything. That's what prayer does. Prayer works.
So and which side was that?
Left. So basically, they say after you have everything removed from a breast, you don't have cancer anymore in that breast, when you have the stuff removed. So I haven't had any problem.
All the tissue
removed and everything. And so I've never had any problems with my right breast anymore. But my left breast, I did not have it removed. And so I still get my mammograms faithfully to make sure that we detect it early.
Okay. So in all two times, you found it yourself?
No, they found it.
Okay.
I didn't find it myself. They found it through early detection and making sure that you get your mammograms and everything. So make sure that you get mammograms.
So we're back to that square. It was mammogram detection.
Yes, it was mammogram detection. And, they catch it early when you get, your mammograms on a yearly basis. And so I make sure that I do that. Like I said, it was very traumatic having my breast removed and rebuilt, so I just didn't feel like I could go through that again, when I had my the lumpectomy. But thank God I've been good ever since, and that was 2011.
Okay. So, what stage?
What stage? I was in early stage. It wasn't even first, I'll say first stage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't in third, fourth. They caught it very, very early.
And I just want to elaborate on that annual thing. Exactly. If you do something every year, and from the last year to the current year, something changes. Just imagine you would still really be considered in an early diagnosis stage. You know what I mean? That's why we do appointments annually, because if your baseline changes, which is why you have a primary care doctor, so they establish what is your baseline, what is normal for you. So when it's not normal, we can move on that. And that's why the annual appointment is so important, because even if things change, and for some people it does, you are still going to be probably considered in an early stage unless you have a more aggressive type of situation.
Yes.
And is another reason why you go every year. Every year. So what was the most challenging part of your diagnosis process, Debra?
Well, first of all, chemotherapy is like a monster on your body because it burns and you lose all your hair. And when I say all your hair, under your arms, on your private, everywhere. Actually, eyebrows. Actually, when I lost my hair, I was wearing braids, individual braids, and they kept telling me you need to
take those off because they were coming out one at a time.
Actually, it was like, how you put a hat on, you take the hat off and you pull it, like you say, for instance, pull your hat. it came off like that, like where I could just take the braids and when I got through it looked like it was a cat with braids in it. Devastating.
Devastating. That sounds traumatic.
Oh my God, devastating. So when they tell you to do something, do it. Because I'm telling you, and then I was totally bald-headed, standing up there in front of the mirror. I'm by myself. I don't have any family here. You know, my mom was in Kansas City, and I'm standing there crying because I have a bald head. And then I felt cold. Because one of the things about, they say heat, you know, like you wear a hat, keeps the heat inside your body. That's so true. Because I felt cold all the time. So I found myself wrapping my head a lot, tying it up, wearing a scarf, you know, wearing some type of hat, because I always felt cold because my head was totally bald.
So chemotherapy, how many rounds did you do?
Oh, chemotherapy is like, I felt like a dragon on the inside. And because it made me so sick, I had to have it. I was supposed to have it weekly for about 6 months, but my body couldn't take it. So they extended it for a year. So I had it every 3 weeks for a year. And one of the things that happened during chemotherapy is I became skinny. I went from like a size 12 to a size 4, or, you know, a size 6. All my clothes were too big. I felt cold all the time. I didn't want to eat because I felt like a dragon because of chemotherapy, you know. And
a dragon.
A dragon. I actually did. I felt like, or I don't know if you swim, like you hit the water, and when the water goes up your nose, and sometimes it stings.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I felt with chemotherapy, and I couldn't eat anything. I didn't want food. I didn't like the taste of anything, and it was a terrible thing because another thing about chemotherapy, most of the time they put what's called a porta-cap somewhere in your body, so that when you go to get your treatments, they can just put the port, you know.
So you don't have to stick you every time.
Exactly. And the thing that was scary about that is I actually got elbowed in my chest where the porta-cap was, and I could not have chemo again because I had swelling there, you know, and everything. And so that was another thing, you know, you had to be careful because people turn around, you're in a crowd, and they hit you and everything. It just happened, that happened to me.
Wow.
So that extended my chemotherapy longer because now I had to heal up there before I can get, you know, the chemo put in again. So I'm going to tell you, it was devastating, traumatic. I can't even hardly talk about it now when I think back on it because, you know, I've never had anything like that be so devastating in my life, with the exception of death. You know?
Well, I hear two things. I mean, some people, and, you know, I'm always careful that we don't want to, you know, scare nobody from getting treatment.
No,
because you see where she's sitting. She's
Yes.
sitting right here.
Yes.
She's here.
Right.
She had the treatment. But what she did say was her body didn't tolerate it like they may have thought. So instead of abandoning the treatment, like I have seen some people do, you know, if it's, you know, it's uncomfortable, it's easy to just be like, I quit. But you told your team and they readjusted your treatment, gave you more time, but
Yes.
they were able to accommodate you
Yes.
and you individually.
Yes.
And that's important, that you know how to tell your team that this isn't working, and your team in response will listen and make the adjustment. So that's very important for somebody to hear. You know, you don't have to sit there in pain. You say something, speak up. And there's quite a few different regimens, that approaches that can be taken. So you don't have to be stuck to a one approach. So remember that in any treatment, in any type of medical situation.
Yes, they'll work with you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you say something, sometimes, you know, in the world of disparity, we have found out that sometimes they barely will work with you.
Right.
So that, you know, at all. So,
Right.
you know, that they are willing to go the extra mile, you know.
Right.
So, and did your diagnosis change your relationships with people, friends, family?
It actually made it better. It made my
You
relationship.
strengthened some?
Yes. Yes.
I recall some broken relationships at the time, you know, when you just realize it's a good time to clean house, but so you were able to pull stuff together. That's great. You had a support team.
Yeah, and my mom doesn't live here, and so my mother was a nurse, and my mother came and lived with me for a year, and even her husband, my stepfather, which is like my father as well, but they gave up their lives, and they came from Kansas City, and they moved in with me for a year, and that was the greatest support I have ever had, because my mom didn't raise me. I was raised by my grandmother, and for my mother to come to Chicago and stay with me, it was just a joy. So it made me heal faster, you know what I'm saying? Because I felt like my mother really loved me and she was there to support me. So I don't think I would have made it without her, because I did go through a whole lot with this breast cancer and everything, but she was there for me, and I have a praying mother, you know, so she was praying for me, and some of my girlfriends were praying for me as well. But cancer is very devastating. Like I said, I know I've lost about 15 to 20 people in my family of cancer, some sort of cancer, you know, and everything. So when you have a support group, it'll help you, you know, make it through. People were at my house cooking, you know, they were bringing me food, you know, they were doing all those things. Even my mother didn't have to cook, because my friends were providing food and stuff for my mom, and she was just there taking care of me and getting me to chemotherapy and that type of thing.
Did you do any type of work mentally, like just to deal with the mental aspect of it? Any therapies?
At that time, I was working for AT&T, and I traveled a lot, and so I could no longer do any type of traveling or anything. And I had a lot of support from AT&T, you know, the managers and some of my friends there, from the church that I was going to, you know, and everything. So I know that, and I'm, like I said, I have no children, and I'm a single female. So when you're single and alone and you don't really have anybody, I actually had more people around me, you know, when I was sick than when I was well.
Your village showed up.
My village showed up.
Well, that's very good.
Yes.
You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Not everybody has a village.
Right.
And so, you know, you're fortunate. Some
Right.
people are lonely to begin with, and then
Yes.
get a diagnosis and have nobody around to show up like that.
Yes.
You know, people who just are lonesters, you know,
Yes.
unfortunately. So when I asked about the mental, did you feel like there was any post-anxiety, any post-PTSD, any trauma that you felt like you have dealt with or should be dealing with or maybe have dealt with since you've been diagnosed twice?
Right. Yes. I mean, having it twice, you know, when I had the opportunity the first time, as I stated, to get my other breast removed, I didn't see that vision, you know, because I thought it wasn't going to happen again. So I did not, you know, get that done. So I was angry at myself for not having both breasts removed. Like I said, knowing that I had 3 aunts on my dad's side that died of breast cancer. I had 3 cousins on my mom's side that died of breast cancer. I survived. So, you know, that's today, you know, when I think about it, I know how blessed I am. I know how blessed I am, because I look at the people who were around me, my family members that didn't make it, and I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? And they only had breast cancer in one breast, and they passed. I had it in both breasts, and I'm still here. So yes, you know, I thank God every day for my healing and for Him keeping me, because He didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? And so when I think back on 2011 and 2003, I think back on a lot, and I always say thank you, God, for my healing, you know what I'm saying, and for the blessing of still being here.
Can you, faith, I'm sure that at that time, that Bible was real important.
That Bible was still real important.
And the songs, I just recall the songs are so poignant, you know. What do you do when you've done all you can? You know, just you know, you are healed, and those type, you know, gospel music has a great role, a great role.
Yes.
So, have you made any changes in your lifestyle?
Yes, I don't eat meat anymore. I don't eat beef, pork, or chicken. I try to stick with vegetables and, everything. And I'm not going to say I'm totally healthy because I like sweets, and that's still sugar. But I still try not to eat as much sugar as I used to. I was a candy freak. I loved candy. So I find myself eating it in moderation. But I try to stick to dark chocolate because they tell you that if you're going to eat candy, dark chocolate is one of the better one of the better sweets to eat. I eat a lot of fruit. And vegetables. Sometimes I can go for weeks without eating any type of meat and just doing the greens and the salads and the potatoes and, that type of thing. And I try to do soups. And when I do soups, I make sure they're vegetable soups with no meat in them. And I'm really good at not eating meat anymore like I used to.
What about exercising? Have you?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big exercise person, but I had a whole lot of stuff in my basement that was just sitting there. But I like to walk, but I can't walk in the winter because I catch colds easily. I have a girlfriend, she walks rain, sleet, or snow. It doesn't matter. But when summertime comes, then I try to walk, with her. I have two friends, as a matter of fact, that walk a lot. But wintertime, I don't really walk because I can catch cold real easily. And I do try to do a little exercises in my bedroom. I have some things that they told me I should do. I lay on the floor and do some things, and I have things because of both breasts being removed and everything, I find that I still have a little pain and ache, and even in my back. So I have a little, and then hanging over the wall, over the door, those types of things and everything. But I'm really not doing the exercise I should. But I said I'm going to join a gym this year.
And you just got to make sure you get plenty of rest.
Exactly.
And keep your stress level down.
Exactly.
That's the real main key, really.
Yes.
So anybody who is watching, what advice would you have for a survivor who is stressed about maybe cancer coming back?
Well, first of all, we know stress is the killer regardless of whether you have cancer or not. So make sure that you get your mammograms, number one. You have to get them. Keep yourself checked out and everything. Also, make sure that you do try to stay away from a lot of sugar. Like I said, it's hard because sugar is good.
And it's in a lot.
Yeah, yes. And and I'm guilty of not really exercising like I should, but we should exercise more, especially when you have breast cancer, and try to keep the blood flowing real good in your body and that type of thing.
You feel like your life perspective has shifted?
I feel that it's better now. When it first happened, both times, I was very devastated. I was very sad. I felt hurt. I felt like, God, why did this happen to me? And then I thought about, well, it happened to about 15 and 16 of us on the Dangerfield and the Ray side. So, like I said, it's prevalent. But then I just prayed and said, well, who am I? I'm saying I'm still here. They're not here anymore. So I'm really blessed to have cancer twice and still be here. So I praise God because he's a good God. You know what I'm saying? And I think about how blessed I am.
That's good. That is good. So what is Deb doing today?
Well, I do sell insurance, all types of insurance, but Medicare is really popular right about now. We're in that period and everything. But I also sing. I used to sing background for Miss Dana Wint. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting on her to call me back.
And she's got new music.
Yeah, and I also started a business, an Airbnb business, and so it's in the Bronzeville neighborhood. There's quite a few of Airbnbs in our neighborhood, so look me up.
Okay, what's your business name?
Well, it's really I don't have a business name, but it's Debra Ray LLC.
Okay,
Debra Ray LLC.
So you keep yourself busy.
Yes.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Staying healthy.
You too. It's
Christmas season. Do you have any big Christmas wishes for Santa Claus on his lap this year?
I just want to be healthy. I just want to make sure that, God keeps me in a great space and healthy place.
And that is the truth, Ruth. The time is short. And I know you guys have a lot to do. It's Christmas Eve, and Santa Claus is coming to town. I want to thank Debra Ray for showing up today, and she could be doing a lot of other things. Remember, if you need a mammogram, cervical screening, a primary care appointment, and if you need a free one, Equal Hope is the organization to call, 312-942-3368, or you can visit equalhope.org. LatinaNavigation.org. We have a Latina navigation team ready to assist you. We are throwing all the excuses out the window. Don't deny, verify. We're heading into the new year. We're going to have a new approach to our health this year. We are taking care of ourselves. We're going to be diligent on our annual appointments. And like I said, if Equal Hope can be a part of that journey, we'd love to join you. We have a new podcast coming at the top of the year. It's called Equal Hope, ba-dum-boom. Guess what? But I'll be giving you more information about that as we move into the new year. Wherever you're from, wherever you're listening from, on whatever part of side of Chicago you're listening from, Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year. And thank you, Debra Ray.
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank